Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, fire breaks out at another school, and police say this time it was no accident. Also ahead, who moved the crowd and the judges at Junkanoo this year? Nearly 300 illegals arrive for the holidays, adding to a busy year for border control. And the gift that any mother would love this Christmas. All those stories and more straight ahead in the Bahamas tonight.
Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Keishla Adderley. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you're enjoying your Boxing Day holiday. Topping the news tonight, police believe a fire at a local school this afternoon was the work of arsonists. The fire broke out in the middle of the day, marking the third public school fire on record this year. Syann Thompson was at the scene as investigators began to piece together the details of what they believe to be the deliberate act.
The cost of the extensive fire damage done to parts of Carlton Francis Primary School not yet tallied, but police already suspect arson. Right now, they are working with senior school administrators to find out if valuable items like computers were in those classrooms. Fire Chief Superintendent Walter Evans.
We do not believe, and I'm saying we do not believe, that this was an act which was committed by no one person. We believe that more than one person may have been involved in this, based upon the fact of the amount of damage that we have seen.
Firefighters were on the scene in a matter of minutes after receiving a call from a police reservist around 1 p.m. They were able to extinguish the blaze in record time.
The police discovered that there was fire confined to classroom number 3, which is on the ground floor level of a 2-story concrete structure. The fire was immediately extinguished, and upon further search, officers from the police fire services discovered that there was a fire in another classroom, which is adjacent to classroom number 3, the affected area. And that fire, the fire was confined to a refuse container, which was stored under the table where the teacher occupies. The police right now have launched an intensive investigation into this.
After receiving the news, Education Minister Desmond Bannister rushed to the scene expressing a concern about the criminal act.
This is the third school that we've had some arson in this year in New Providence. And we were very concerned about this trend where persons have come into our schools at times when children are out, have set fire to classrooms, and have jeopardized the learning environment. We're going to seek to ensure that by the time the children come back to school, that the classrooms are fit for teachers to be able to carry on with their jobs, and for students to be able to study and to carry on with the learning that is so critical to their development.
Now, we were told that a security officer should have been on duty, but apparently he did not show up for work. Meantime, Superintendent Evans is urging the public to assist police in solving this crime.
Persons who reside in this area, if there have been persons who are passing by in this area, if they saw anything suspicious, to give the police a call, give the fire services a call, give CDU a call, call 919, call 502-9991. All of these numbers are made available for crime tipsters. Give this information to the police so that we can find out who did this act, so that we can have them placed before the courts.
Syann Thompson, ZNS News.
Traffic at the Lyndon Pindling International Airport is backed up tonight. We understand that air traffic controllers are working to rule. They told us that they've reduced their goodwill. We talked to Air Traffic Controllers Union President Roscoe Propol, who says that they've not withdrawn their labor but have slowed down a bit. Those members are not pleased with working conditions and stalled contract talks, and they've threatened to shut the country down over those issues. The results are in from Boxing Day Junkanoo. This news just into our news team. Our news team is at this hour at Arawaki covering the rest of the results, but here's what we know so far. In 6th place with 2,041 points, the Music Makers. In fifth position, with 3,284 points, the Prodigal Sons. In fourth place, with 4,007 points, the Valley Boys. In third place, with 4,091 points, the Roots Junkanoo Group. In second place, with 4,299 points, One Family. And in first place, with 4,344 points, the Saxons. So the Saxons taking it all this Boxing Day, 4,344 points, a sort of close one there between the Saxons and One Family Junkanoo Group. We'll have total results for you first thing tomorrow. Well, the Junkanoo Corporation of New Providence says technical problems with the Boxing Day Junkanoo Parade were few and minor for the most part. In fact, JCNP Chairman Silbert Ferguson says this year's event was one of the better organized in years. Here's Carla Palmer.
The coveted prize as champions and all the trimmings associated with it, participants from each group in this year's Junkanoo Parade came out of the gates with more than just stars in their eyes.
On time. The Valley Boys were in the gate at 11:30, and at 12 midnight on the dot, they were rolling.
Silbert Ferguson is chairman of the Junkanoo Corporation New Providence Limited. With the exception of one or two minor glitches, one involving the Music Makers Junkanoo Group, he's pleased overall that the rules and regulations are being adhered to.
We had a slight gap in the parade. I think they got blocked out of the parade on Navy Lion Road. There were a couple big containers in the street, and they couldn't get their big costumes through.
With that problem soon resolved, the JCNP realized a much smoother process this year as a result of its new system.
The results are being tallied as every group has completed their lap. These results are being computerized. They are being handled by the tally room in a very, 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 very professional way. And as soon as those results are tallied, they will be done roughly about half an hour after the parade is over.
Gomez & Co. is the accounting firm for this Boxing Day parade. Ferguson also tells ZNS News that participating groups also have a window of opportunity to address any concerns.
What we are doing this year, we are giving groups their results on a jump drive. They have the opportunity to go and view those results in 48 hours. Any protests, they would have to launch within 48 hours. If there's no protest, the parade is automatically official.
Carla Palmer, ZNS News.
Well, police made quick work of Junkanoo attendees who caused disruptions during this morning's parade. At least one person taken into custody was paraded right down the middle of Bay Street to a round of applause by spectators. In this report, Carla Palmer tells us who police rounded up.
With the exception of a few criminal incidents resulting in several arrests during the parade, Police Superintendent Stephen Dean says it was mission accomplished by the team assigned. In addition to hundreds of officers working the event, he says preparation and strategy were key to their success.
Most of our officers who work, particularly in the office areas and various areas, they are come out into the front line. We bring everybody onto the front line. We realize this is a national parade, and it's important that we police this effectively. We are not only policing the internal area of the parade, we're policing the periphery and the outskirts because people have their vehicles parked, and so we are monitoring those vehicles that they are not broken into and they're not stolen.
What is being done differently that you would say this year as opposed to, last year to make things even more better?
But one of the things we do after we have a postmortem, so to speak, where we look at our deficiencies, our areas, we get inputs from particularly our junior officers of how we can improve the way that we can police the parades. And so what we do, we tweak it a bit, and put a strategic plan in place. We do dry runs, we do seminars, we do workshops, we even meet with the Junkanoo officials to get input from them, and we get input from members of the public. More importantly, we looked at how we can manage the rest time, the rest period for the officers. That is critical to make sure that the officers not spending too much time here. So we vary the times that the officers be here. We prepare them, make sure they get adequate rest.
In spite of their best efforts, police say they were forced to make several arrests.
We have seen, despite our best efforts, we have seen one or two young men still slipping in things like knives and other contrabands into the parade. So we have made arrests for unlawfully carrying arms. We have made arrests for a small amount of dangerous drugs. We have made arrests for persons drinking too much alcohol and got a little disorderly. So we want to warn these persons, particularly parents. We don't want you to allow your young people to come out, bring in these knives, make sure, talk to them about them. You have a responsibility for your young people. You cannot transfer that to the police. You cannot transfer that to the government. You cannot transfer that to no leaders. That is your responsibility to do so.
By midday, police had taken 15 people into custody. Carla Palmer, ZNS News.
Well, Chairman of the JCNP, Silver Ferguson, says Junkanoo continues to be on the move, and it isn't just growing in size. He says the JCNP is focused on promoting the art, especially among young people.
We're attempting to create industry for our young people, because this can also be a source of making a living in this country, because you take the power in Junkanoo, and most of our young people who help do a lot of contract work during the season, this is how they make their money.